Christmas morning in Arizona isn't always about sunshine and cheer. While families across Phoenix unwrap gifts and turkeys roast in ovens, there are places where December 25th holds a different memory. Places where the desert sand remembers blood instead of snow, where whispers carry on the wind instead of carols, and where the ghosts don't just visit for Christmas, they stay year-round. These are 5 locations where Christmas stories aren't about joy, but about survival. Real encounters from real people who walked into these places expecting history and walked out with nightmares. My name is Michael, and this is Rust and Relic. Let's begin where Christmas cheer went to die in a small mining town that still sets a table for 8 dead souls. Location 1, the Bisbee Christmas Massacre House. Bisbee, Arizona isn't just a quaint mining town turned tourist destination. Down Brewery Gulch, past the antique shops and art galleries, stands a white Victorian house with peeling paint and windows that haven't seen light since 1921. This is the Walker House, locally known as the Christmas Massacre House. On December 24, 1921, the Walker family, John and Martha with their 3 children, invited their neighbors, the Henderson family, for Christmas Eve dinner. John Walker had struck a small vein of copper that autumn, and the dinner was meant to be a celebration. According to newspaper archives from the Bisbee Daily Review, the last person to see them alive was the milkman who delivered cream at 4 p.m. He reported hearing laughter and Christmas carols from the parlor. The next morning, when John's brother arrived to exchange gifts, he found the front door slightly ajar. Inside, all 8 occupants, the 5 Walkers and 3 Hendersons, were seated around the dining table, each with a single gunshot wound to the head. The turkey remained untouched in the center of the table. Plates were set. Wine glasses were full. A fire still smoldered in the fireplace. The police investigation found no signs of struggle, no forced entry. No murder weapon was ever discovered. The case remains Bisbee's only unsolved mass murder. But here's where the story turns from tragic to paranormal. In 1978, the house was purchased by an antique dealer named Robert Vance. He planned to restore it as a bed and breakfast. On his first Christmas Eve in the house, he claims he was awakened at precisely 3 a.m. by the sound of Christmas carols coming from downstairs. Thinking it was a radio left on, he descended to find the dining table set for 8 plates, silverware, glasses. Despite the table being completely bare when he went to bed, he fled the house and sold it the following week. The current owner, who wishes to remain anonymous, has installed security cameras throughout the property. Footage from December 24, 2019, shows an empty dining room at 11:45 p.m. At exactly midnight, the camera glitches for approximately 30 seconds. When the feed returns, 8 shadowy figures are visible sitting around the table. They remain for exactly 1 hour before disappearing as the camera glitches again. Urban explorer Mark T. visited the house in December 2021, exactly 100 years after the massacre. His audio recording, which he shared with us, captures something chilling. At the 43-minute mark of his investigation, you can clearly hear what sounds like a woman humming Silent Night. Then, a child's voice says, "He's here with the presents." This is followed by 8 distinct clicks that sound remarkably like a revolver being cocked. Mark reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread and left immediately. Local legend says the house reenacts the final moments every Christmas Eve. The table sets itself, ghostly figures appear, and at 3 a.m., the estimated time of death, according to the coroner's report, 8 gunshots are sometimes heard, though no one has ever found shell casings. The house remains boarded up today, but during the Christmas season, neighbors report seeing candlelight flickering in the windows. No one has dared to spend Christmas Eve inside since 1995. When a documentary crew attempted to film there, all 3 crew members reported equipment failures and inexplicable feelings of being watched. Their sound technician quit the industry altogether, claiming he still hears the Christmas carols in his dreams. From one family's tragedy to an entire town's curse, our next location proves that sometimes ghosts don't haunt houses, they haunt highways. Location 2, the Jerome Christmas Highwayman. Route 89A between Prescott and Jerome transforms during the Christmas season. What's normally a scenic mountain road becomes something else entirely after dark. They call him the Christmas Highwayman, and his story begins in 1938. During the Great Depression, Jerome was a thriving copper mining town. On Christmas Eve 1938, a miner named Samuel Red O'Malley lost his job at the United Verde mine. Desperate to provide Christmas for his wife and sick daughter, he allegedly attempted to rob a wealthy mine executive, traveling from Prescott to Jerome. According to police reports, the executive's car went off the road near what's now called Deadman's Curve. Both men were killed in the crash. O'Malley's body was found, with a sack containing nothing but a single toy doll, presumably intended for his daughter. The paranormal activity begins every December. Drivers report seeing a man in 1930s mining clothes, standing on the side of Route 89A, usually near mile marker 17. He appears to be hitchhiking. Those who stop to offer help describe a man with red hair and desperate eyes who asks, "What day is it?" When told it's Christmas or Christmas Eve, he begins to weep before disappearing. More chilling are the reports from drivers who don't stop. Multiple accounts describe a figure suddenly appearing in the back seat of their car after passing mile marker 17. He doesn't speak or interact, simply stares out the window as if searching for something. He always disappears before the car reaches Jerome. The most documented encounter comes from trucker Bill Henderson in 2015. His dashcam footage, though grainy, shows a clear figure appearing in his passenger seat at 2:14 a.m. on December 24th. The figure turns toward the camera, revealing a face streaked with what appears to be coal dust and tears. Henderson reported the temperature in his cab dropping dramatically. The figure whispered, "She died on Christmas," before vanishing. Medical records confirm O'Malley's daughter, Mary, died of pneumonia on December 26, 1938, 2 days after her father's death. But the highwayman isn't the only spirit on that road. Other travelers report hearing children singing Christmas carols coming from the surrounding woods. Some have seen what looks like a little girl in a white nightgown, standing among the trees holding a doll. When approached, she disappears. Local authorities treat these reports seriously enough that they've posted additional warning signs along that stretch of road during December. The Jerome Historical Society has documented over 87 separate sightings since 1950, with patterns emerging. Sightings increase during economic downturns, and the figure appears more solid during years with early snowfalls. A paranormal investigation team spent Christmas Eve 2020 parked at mile marker 17. Their thermal cameras detected a cold spot that moved along the roadside between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. Their EVP recordings captured a male voice saying, "Just needed the medicine," followed by a child's voice singing "Away in a Manger" from a haunted highway to a hotel where Christmas guests never check out. Location 3, the Tucson Christmas Hotel Suicide. The Coronado Hotel in downtown Tucson opened in 1928 as a luxury destination. Its Christmas parties were legendary, attracting Hollywood stars and wealthy Easterners seeking winter sun. But Christmas 1947 changed everything. A young couple from New York, Eleanor and James Whitaker, checked into room 312 for a Christmas holiday. According to hotel registers, they were celebrating their first wedding anniversary. On Christmas morning, maids found both dead, an apparent murder-suicide. James had shot Eleanor in her sleep before turning the gun on himself. No note was found. Their families claimed they were happily married. The motive remains unknown. Room 312 was closed for renovations until 1950. When it reopened, guests began reporting strange occurrences, specifically during the Christmas season. The most common report, waking to the smell of gunpowder and pine needles. The room had been decorated with a Christmas tree in 1947. Some guests reported hearing whispered arguments in the early morning hours, though no one was in the adjacent rooms. The most chilling account comes from a professor who stayed in room 312 during a Christmas conference in '98. He awoke at 3 a.m. to see a woman in 1940s nightwear standing by the window, looking out at the city lights. When he spoke to her, she turned slowly and said, "He promised it would be a white Christmas." She then disappeared. The professor checked weather records and discovered that Christmas 1947 was unusually cold in Tucson, with light flurries reported, the only white Christmas in the city's recorded history. Current hotel management no longer rents room 312 during December, though they publicly attribute this to renovations. Employees, however, tell a different story. One housekeeper who worked at the Coronado for 15 years reported that every December 24th, the door to room 312 would be found slightly ajar in the morning, regardless of how securely it was locked the night before. Inside, the bed would appear slept in, and the scent of gardenias, Eleanor Whitaker's signature perfume according to newspaper accounts, would linger. In 2015, a guest staying in room 314, adjacent to 312, captured audio on her phone. She had been recording a message to her family when a man's voice suddenly whispered, "Merry Christmas, my love," followed by what sounds like 2 gunshots. The audio was analyzed by a forensic sound expert who confirmed the gunshot sounds were consistent with a 40s-era revolver. The hotel's current Christmas decorations deliberately avoid 1940s styling. Management has removed all vintage photographs from that era from the lobby, yet guests still report seeing a well-dressed couple in 1940s attire dancing in the ballroom during Christmas parties, a couple that disappears when approached. From hotel horror to medical terror, our next location proves that some Christmas gifts should never be opened. Location 4, the Phoenix Children's Sanatorium. Built in 1912 as a tuberculosis hospital for children, the Phoenix Children's Sanatorium was, for many young patients, a place they never left. The hospital closed in 1955 after antibiotics made such facilities obsolete. But one ward remained active until 1963, the Christmas ward. In 1950, a wealthy philanthropist donated funds to create a special Christmas celebration for terminally ill children. Ward 4B was transformed each December with decorations, toys, and a massive Christmas tree. The idea was beautiful. Let children facing death experience one last perfect Christmas. But in 1958, something went terribly wrong. Hospital records show that between December 20th and December 26th of that year, 14 children in Ward 4B died unexpectedly, more than twice the usual mortality rate for that period. The official cause was listed as a virulent strain of influenza, but nurses' journals tell a different story. One nurse's diary entry from Christmas Eve 1958 reads, "The children are terrified of the Christmas decorations. Little Sarah keeps pointing at the tree and saying, 'The man in the tinsel is taking them.' 3 more passed tonight. Their last words were all about Christmas, begging for it to stop, saying the carols were too loud, that the lights hurt." The hospital closed Ward 4B permanently in 1959, but the building itself wasn't demolished until 1980. The land sat empty until 2005 when a condo development began. Construction stopped almost immediately. Workers reported tools going missing, then reappearing in perfect arrangements under what would have been the ward's Christmas tree location. One worker claimed he saw children holding hands and circling an invisible tree, singing "Oh Christmas Tree" in whispers. The development was abandoned. Today, the site is an empty lot. But every December, Phoenix police receive calls about children's laughter coming from the fenced-off property. Security cameras installed by the city have captured orbs of light moving in patterns around midnight during the Christmas season. Thermal imaging shows cold spots forming in a perfect circle exactly where the Christmas tree would have stood. The most compelling evidence comes from 2018, when a paranormal investigation group obtained permission to study the site. Their recordings captured multiple children's voices singing different Christmas carols simultaneously, creating a dissonant, chaotic chorus. Then a single adult male voice says clearly, "Time to open your presents," followed by 14 distinct gasping sounds. The lead investigator later said she felt an overwhelming sense of despair, so profound she required therapy afterward. Local historians have tried to identify the man in the tinsel, referenced in the nurse's diary. Some speculate it was a well-intentioned volunteer who might have been carrying infection. Others suggest something more supernatural, a spirit attracted to the concentrated emotion of dying children experiencing their last Christmas. From a hospital's haunted ward to the desert itself, where Christmas miracles become Christmas curses. Location 5, the Saguaro Christmas Mirage. The Sonoran Desert east of Phoenix is beautiful and deadly in equal measure. Every Christmas, hikers and campers report something strange in the area around Superstition Mountain. They call it the Christmas Mirage, but those who've experienced it insist it's no illusion. The phenomenon was first documented in 1923 when a prospector named Carl Jenkins stumbled into a Phoenix sheriff's office on December 26th, dehydrated and delirious. He claimed he'd seen a Christmas village in the desert, complete with decorated cabins, carolers, and a feast laid out on tables. When he approached, the vision vanished, leaving him alone in the barren desert.
He nearly died of exposure.
Since then, over 50 similar reports have been filed with various authorities. The descriptions are remarkably consistent. A traditional Christmas village appears suddenly, usually to lost or distressed travelers. The vision includes smells of roasting meat and pine, sounds of laughter and carols, and warm light promising shelter, but those who enter the mirage never return unchanged. The most detailed account comes from 1999, when a family of 4 became lost on Christmas Eve. Their SUV got stuck in a wash. As night fell and temperatures dropped, they saw lights in the distance. The father, Tom Reynolds, described walking toward what appeared to be a small village celebrating Christmas. He could hear jingle bells playing on an old-fashioned record player. He saw people in 1950s clothing dancing. Then a woman turned toward him, but her face was featureless, just smooth skin where eyes, nose, and mouth should be. He fled back to his family. What makes this case particularly chilling is what happened afterward. The family was rescued on Christmas morning, but over the next year, each member experienced what they called Christmas echoes. The 25th of every month, they would briefly smell pine needles and roasting turkey. Their youngest daughter began drawing pictures of the smiling people with no faces every December. Child psychologists couldn't explain it. Scientific explanations range from mass hallucination caused by dehydration to magnetic field anomalies in the Superstition Mountains. Paranormal researchers suggest it's a time slip, showing Christmas celebrations from various eras, somehow imprinted on the location. In 2017, a drone survey of the area captured thermal images of human-shaped heat signatures in a perfect circle on December 24th, despite no humans being within miles according to GPS tracking. The signatures disappeared by Christmas morning. Local Native American tribes have their own interpretation. According to Apache elders, the desert sometimes dreams of what travelers most desire. During Christmas, when longing for family and warmth is strongest, the desert manifests these dreams, but desert dreams are dangerous, meant to lure the unwary to their deaths, much like sirens in ancient myths. Search and rescue teams now include warnings about the Christmas mirage in their desert safety briefings every December. They advise that if you see Christmas lights where none should be, you should walk away immediately, even if it means turning away from potential shelter. 5 Arizona locations where Christmas means something other than joy. 5 places where the past doesn't stay buried, where December memories are etched not in happiness but in tragedy and terror. The Walker House in Bisbee still sets its table. The highwayman still waits on Route 89A, Room 3 and 12 at the Coronado. Hotel still smells of gunpowder and pine. The children still sing at the Phoenix Sanatorium site, and the desert still dreams of Christmas feasts that were never real. These stories remind us that not all Christmas spirits are friendly. Some are trapped, some are angry, and some are still waiting for a Christmas that never came. Until next time, this is Michael signing off for Rust and Relic. Remember, the past never really leaves us. It just waits for the right season to return. Merry Christmas, if you dare.